IVM.
Hey, it's been a great week on IVM Podcast. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure you are. We are IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. This week on Keeping It Queer, Naveen talks to prominent author Devdutt Patnaik to explore queerness as depicted in Indian mythology. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus meets the film critic and writer Raja Sen, and the duo quickly descend into a whirlwind of movie references. On LBB, catch a fun event in Delhi happening soon and a contest lined up for you on the LBB I Found Awesome podcast. On Hustle Science, hosts Ranveer and Tejaswin talk to entrepreneur Pranav Marwa from Thinkubate about his journey. Also, if you missed last week, make sure you catch Sahil Qatar on their first episode. That was a great show. On Paisa Vaisa, if you missed last week's episode, we had a fun back-to-school special episode with a bunch of really smart 10-year-olds who asked Anupam questions about inflation, taxes, and more. Try and listen to as many of these shows as you can. And now, on to your show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of IVM Likes. My name is Abbas. I'm going to be your host for today. IVM Likes is a show where we recommend our favorite pop culture that we've been consuming, and in the second half of the show, we discuss about stuff that we find interesting. And today in the studio with me for this episode, I'm joined by Janam.
Sup.
And I'm Saap. And I'm joined by Gaurav.
Namaste.
Oh my God, where is Gaurav? What did you do with him? Are we on Doordarshan? No. Okay, so we're going to kick things off with our recommendation round. And in the second half, since it is the 25th anniversary of Jurassic Park, and we also have Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom in theatres, we thought it'll be fun to talk about our favorite pop culture monsters who have horrified us or given us nightmares. So that's the second half. But before that, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Long, long ago, not in Bethlehem, but in a place nearby, there was a wonderful birth of a huge show, which I like to call Cyrus Says. A show that encapsulates everything in human history, from the first Homo sapien to the last Homo sapien, who's traversed the entire world and then come back to India. This is a show which tells you everything about everything. If you want to know, avoid Google, come to us. It's called Cyrus Says. Get new episodes every Monday and Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts from. It's simple as A, B, oh God, what comes after that?
Cyrus Says is brought to you by Setu, Your Gut.
Welcome back. Let's start with the recommendation rounds. So Gaurav, what's your recommendation today?
So today I'm going to be recommending a TV series. It's a TV series from 2000. So it's a bit 18 years old now. Mm-hmm. It's a UK show called Coupling. Mm-hmm. And it's a sitcom. you watched it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, it must be funny. You just mention it and she laughs.
Oh, because we were talking about the show.
It's hilariously funny. It kind of goes... The structure of it is very similar to the group dynamic structure of like Friends or Seinfeld or How I Met Your Mother, where it's like a group of people. But the thing about this show, why it's so funny is, first of all, I think I just love the British accent in general. Yeah. Just people talking about it. And the second thing is, it's all about miscommunication. Okay, like that's a very big theme in everything. For example, in the first episode, they're talking about the kind of girlfriend or boyfriend who's unflushable.
What's unflushable?
Unflushable is a term they use over there for someone who you want to break up with, but they just don't get the message. They stick around after you break up also.
That refuses to flush.
Exactly, exactly. And the confusion is that one of the guys was in the toilet at the same time. He was going to have sex with a girl over there. And when he comes out, she's like, okay, I'm going to go in. And he's like, no, I'm not done yet. I have to go back in and everything. So when she goes and talks to his friend, she's like, he's in the bathroom right now. And then he's like, yeah, he's with the unflushable. And basically
that's how it
it's kind of a misunderstanding where she thinks he's talking about poop and he's talking about his girlfriend kind of thing. So it's based on that. And one amazing thing about it for this, I think the world has become very, very like a sensitive place, and I appreciate that. Like people are taking sexism more seriously. They're taking, all these issues very seriously. Yeah. Even body shaming and things like that. This show, though, they're very crass about it, and it's hilarious from a jokey point of view, and it's out of time thing. So,
are they in on the joke, or is it just a construct of its time where this was funnier back then, but right now it'll be a little tricky?
Like right now, if the same jokes are made, it will be considered very offensive. I guess like very sexist kind of jokes where. I mean, because it's very, very immature humor. But for that time, I guess it was not as much of a issue, or at least talked about like a vocal issue.
Okay.
So I don't think it got much hate.
So that's one of the things that you think kind of is a little off color in an otherwise great show.
It's off color and it's kind of off beat, but it's nice to like hear it and not, because I mean we don't like say anything, but like to hear it, like someone like, oh my god, did that guy just say that?
Right.
That is so messed up to say, and that makes it kind of funny.
And is it like a live sitcom? Like does it have a laughter track, or is it just...
Yeah, it does. It does have a laughter
So
track.
it's shot in front of a live studio audience.
Yeah.
All right. And any known faces that are in the show?
It has Jack Davenport, who was there in the Pirates of the Caribbean, I think.
Okay.
And Sarah Alexander, Gina Bellman, Ben Miles. Ben Miles was there in The Crown also recently.
Oh, okay. And how many seasons does it have?
It only has like 4 seasons.
And how many episodes per season?
Like 8 episodes.
Oh, so you're a regular British sitcom.
Yeah, it's a very regular.
And where can
sitcom.
one watch this?
So I found this on Prime. So
Amazon
this
Prime.
is Amazon Prime. Yeah, you can find it there. For
the
sure.
entire series.
Yes.
Nice. All right. So that was Gaurav's sitcom recommendation. What do you have for us, Jana?
I will actually second his
Gaurav's
opinion, and I'll tell our
Ooh.
listeners to please watch Coupling, because even I've seen it and I really like the show.
Yay.
It's great.
And that's coming from a female, so maybe the sexist jokes aren't that sexist.
It is sexist. No,
But
the
watch
show
it anyway.
is sexist. Yeah, like what? It's funny.
Okay.
They handle it well, and it's
Yeah.
funny. And like Gaurav said, it's like set
A
back
product
in
of
the
Like there's
time.
this
Yeah.
one joke. It's not sexist, but I just want to say this is one joke. He says like, you know, there's this guy, this character, and he's like, I love the word naked. Oh, it's such an amazing word. Naked, 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 naked. When I was younger, I
He's
used
Jeff-
to...
Jeff, right?
Yeah, Jeff.
Oh, Jeff is
I used to write down naked again and again on a piece of paper and put it across my face. Better than sex it was, kind of thing. And I don't know why. When he does it, his Scottish kind of accent comes out and everything. It's bloody hilarious. It's too good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Janam,
The-
you can carry on with
the
your
glee
recommendation.
with which you were saying that kind of makes me imagine what the show is must be like.
Cool. So moving on from all the coupling and the sex talk, I have something better than sex, which is food. It's food.
Oh, yes.
So I'm recommending an Instagram account. It is called, it's actually a person's account. His name is Ankit Gulabani. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Gulabani. Okay. So
Very
it's
flowery name, guys.
it's
Gulabani,
and
correct?
extremely
Very rosy
flowery,
name.
Rosy name.
extremely flowery and rosy Instagram account, like you can
Yes.
see.
Oh, nice.
So his account is spelled as ANKIETGULABANI. So
And I.
yeah, NI.
Gulabani.
Gulabani.
Okay.
Yeah. So he is a food writer, also a chef, because he makes these amazing dishes and puts up recipes to it. And man, he travels all over the world, and like the kind of food that's there on his Instagram is so enviable. You just every post of his makes me drool.
And that's just the food.
Yeah, it's just the food, honestly. And obviously it's a very aesthetically shot,
Right.
and the dishes he covers, like he has a website also where he puts up the recipes to the dishes, and
Right.
they're very different from what you usually see. So it's not your normal stuff you've heard of. He'll take these ingredients and make something else out of it,
Okay.
and he'll make it very interesting. So his website is also like an Instagram account, but if you tap on the picture, you can see the recipe.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty easy to just follow
Learn
him.
new.
And,
And
yeah.
how often does this person post stuff?
He posts like multiple times a day.
Okay.
Twice a day on an average.
Oh,
Twice or
that's
thrice a
not
day.
bad.
Yeah.
Right. And is there one particular dish that stood out on his Instagram that you were like, I gotta have this?
Pretty much everything, to be honest.
Are they all vegetarian dishes?
No.
Ah.
They are everything, but the last post he put up was this zucchini recipe, which was a sweet and sour zucchini with kurgi kachampuli vinegar.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks pretty interesting.
Sounds exotic.
Yeah, and it has these like caramelized onion kind of things on it, and it's just.
Janam, you have to cook for us one day.
Does it?
Ankit Gulabani has to cook for us, not me. I'll make
I was
a mess
just gonna
of
ask
it.
that. Like, does it say where he's a chef at?
No, I'm not sure. It just says, so his profile reads food writer, founder of the recipe website Belly Over Mind, sporadic baker, and yeah, he's based in Mumbai. Would like to have him over. We should actually get him on Cyrus.
Yeah, Mr. Ankit Gulabani, if you're listening to this, we'd love to have you on our show. Please bring food for us.
Yes,
and
yes.
We shall let you have whatever you want. So that was Janam's recommendation and Instagram account.
Time for you now, Abbas.
Yeah, time for me. I am recommending a film. It's a very arty film that I'm recommending. It's called Summer 1993. It's actually a Spanish film in the Catalan language, which is, I guess, one of the dialects of Spanish.
Yeah.
The original title is Estiu 1993. The idea of this film is that there's a 6-year-old girl who has been orphaned, and she has to go live with her uncle and aunt. And it's a story of the summer when she went to live with them. It's a very slow-paced film, but it not so slow-paced that you will be bored. It tries to get into the psyche of a child who's just lost her parents and the loneliness they feel, but they try and contrast it with a lot of bright colors. I see Gaurav is yawning already. They contrast it with a lot of bright colors and the joy of childhood, because this couple that she's going in to live with, they already have a child who's even younger than her.
Okay.
So the kind of...
so is that's her cousin, right?
That's her cousin.
Yeah.
So the sort of love that they both have for each other because they're cousins, at the same time the kind of friction that kids kind of have, especially one who's going through stuff and with her cousin. So it's essentially that is the plot of the film. It's just about how this girl comes to terms and how her parents come to terms with having this new kid in their place. So there are a lot of silent stretches of scenes, but you'll never get bored. It reminds you of your own childhood. At the same time, you can see childhood from an objective point of view. So there are funny things, like there's this very funny scene where the 6-year-old kid, while playing with her cousin, she tries to enact her aunt, and she's trying to do all the things that her aunt does, wear sunglasses, and she's like, go get me a glass of water and all of that stuff. At the same time, there are scenes where you really feel for the child who's just lost her parents. So it's like children have this they are way more accepting of grief than adults are, because adults get used to a way of life and they're not ready to let it go. Right. Children, on the other hand, if something horrible happens to them, they kind of take it in, absorb it, and move on. So it's a movie that sort of explores that. I think it was screened at the Cannes Film Festival and won quite a few awards. So check it out. It's a very enriching film. It's called Summer 1993. So that's my recommendation for the movie. And yeah, we also have a guest recommendation from one of our hosts, Anupam Gupta of Paisa Vaisa. So let's hear in what he had to recommend.
Hi, I'm Anupam Gupta and I host the Paisa Vaisa podcast every Monday and every Thursday on IVM Podcast. I thoroughly recommend listeners to check out this TV series called The Americans. It has 6 seasons and it just got over. The series finale happened a few weeks ago. I thoroughly recommend it to viewers who are interested in watching a nice, very, very well written, fantastically acted US TV series. It has to do about spies in the 80s era, okay? And if you're going to crib that it's slow, well, you got to figure that out, because a lot of the writing and a lot of the acting is just, there's so much of time spent on character development that it's well worth it. The Americans, check it out. That's what would be my recommendation.
Alright, so that was Anupam Gupta's recommendation. Let's round up once more what our recommendations were. Gaurav, you recommended?
I recommended a UK TV series called Coupling.
Janam?
I recommended an Instagram account called Ankit Gulabani.
And I recommended a film called Summer 1993. Alright, so that was our first half. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about our favorite movie monsters. Stay tuned.
Did I just catch you on your way to work? Or did you end up pulling an all-nighter? Let me guess. You have a packed schedule for the day, the week, and probably the month and the year. That's a lot for your mind to handle, don't you think? This buzzing chaos also brings tons of negative thoughts. Am I right? Try spinning that bottle in a positive direction with me, Chetna, on the Positively Unlimited podcast, every Monday on IVM Podcasts. It's time to change your life one alphabet at a time.
Hi, welcome back. Guys, we're going to talk about monsters.
Scary.
Yeah, that was just Gaurav's snoring voice. We thought about talking about monsters because Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is in the theaters, and Jurassic Park completed 25th anniversary. And those films, I mean, the Jurassic Park movie obviously gave us one of the most memorable monsters, the T-Rex, and dinosaurs in general. So that made us think about our monsters. So Gaurav, do you have some pop culture monsters that scared you or made you uncomfortable or made you comfortable? What do you have?
When I first watched it, actually, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
In that they have the Kraken, which is a mythical beast, which is like an octopus. I think they did it. They did a very good job portraying that monster in that in the second movie, Dead Man's Chest. The reason I liked it is because I think they revived that whole Jaws feel, you know, the ta-na, ta-na, but with Hans Zimmer music, you know.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I can't do it. I'm not going to even try like doing it with my mouth.
Confession time, I've only seen the first Pirates of the Caribbean film. I haven't seen any of the other ones.
I mean, I think they get gradually better. Like number 2 is better than 1, and I like number 3 also, and then 4th is just crap.
There's one in between that's forgettable.
Like the 4th one, the last one is forgettable.
Yeah.
Right.
But in this one, the Kraken, I really loved it because what they did was initially they just showed the destruction of capability. And they never really showed the face of the monster, just the tentacles and things like that.
Yeah, I think that always works when you keep the monster hidden and reveal it at the opportune
And
moment.
they gave it a theme music. If you buy the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack or listen to it online, there's literally a soundtrack called The Kraken. You know, and that song is all about the build up and the calling of the Kraken. Okay, just cut that shit out.
No, don't.
Cut that.
No, do not.
I can't do it, but it's amazing. Okay, like I can't sing it, but it's really really good.
Speaking of Kraken and singing, they're also an amazing band.
Okay,
And they are not monsters, it's human beings playing music.
Yeah.
actually,
they're
speaking
pretty
of
amazing.
music, speaking of music and monsters, there's a brilliant band called Of Monsters and Men.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and I mean you got to check their music out.
Sure, the brief was favorite pop culture monster, so this qualifies.
Little Talks, that's what.
Yeah, Little Talks is one of my favorite songs by them, and you got to check out the music video on that.
Okay.
There's some amazing monsters in that music video.
Ah, nice.
So check it out.
All right, my turn. Has either of you seen the movie Cloverfield?
No.
Cloverfield is also a movie that's based on a monster. The thing special about Cloverfield is it's entirely shot in that found footage genre, where someone is filming the entire thing with a video camera and we are seeing that footage.
Oh, like Paranormal Activity.
Not exactly paranormal. Paranormal activities with CCTV footage.
Okay.
It's a fictional story, and a guy in the movie is operating a handycam.
Okay.
And we are seeing him as he sees things through the handycam. So there's a monster attack in New York City, I think it is, or Los Angeles, one of the two. And we see the film like that. So it's a monster attacking, but we see the destruction around, and the monster is always just kind of out of focus, so you can't really see, but you're seeing the destruction he's causing around. And then, as you mentioned, the build-up is so much that he's causing so much destruction. How horrible must this monster be? And we see a glimpse of the monster right at the end, and it's totally worth it because it's a horrifying moment where we actually see the monster. So the Cloverfield monster is one of my favorite movie monsters of all time. You mentioned Jaws. I love the shark from Jaws. That's also one of my classic movie monsters that I love. What else do you have?
I mean, speaking of classics and this build-up kind of thing, a lot of people consider the Phantom of the Opera to be a monster in himself.
That's interesting.
You know, like he was. I mean, in the movie, he was depicted as a monster, a murderer kind of person. And at the end, the funniest thing is the beauty of that character.
Yeah.
Like, we actually see that only after we see the ugliness
Spoiler alert.
of his face. I mean, it's a play, it's a movie.
Like 400 years late.
Yeah.
If you're getting this as a spoiler.
And I mean, do you know what top trumps are?
I don't know.
Is it something to do with Trump?
No. Oh my God.
Was his company behind
Oh wait,
it?
is it the WWE cards?
Yeah, kind of like WWE,
Okay.
but you can do it on anything. Like they
Oh,
have it on
okay.
Ripley's Believe It or Not,
Right.
Cars.
Yeah.
So in the Monsters edition, like one of the monsters present, like with Frankenstein and vampires and everything, was Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, okay.
Because he is considered like a classic monster. Yeah.
Janam, any monster that comes to your mind?
They do actually. So
In
I have yeah, my
Demons.
inner demons and real life monsters living under my bed. No, but on a serious note, I haven't watched many
That was
monster.
the serious note of the monsters under your bed. But anyway, go on.
I haven't watched many monster movies, but I really loved all the monsters they showed throughout Powerpuff Girls.
Okay.
I really enjoyed
Mojo
watching them.
Jojo.
Yeah, Mojo Jojo was my favorite, but all the other ones, living in under
Under their beds.
under her bed, yeah. Oh yeah, under their beds, yep. Another monster I recently got a little freaked out by was the shadow monster in Stranger Things.
Right. Yeah.
That was a little freaky.
That's actually
'cause-
a really good recent addition to famous monsters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of TV shows, any of you seen Lost?
No.
Jeez. Like nobody's seen stuff I've seen. But there's a smoke monster in Lost, which is again alluded to in the first couple of seasons, and then it actually becomes the main baddie in season 6, which is the final season.
Spoiler alert.
Well, not really, because unless you see, and actually there's a raging debate on the internet because a lot of people were disappointed the way the smoke monster was depicted because they built up to it so much. But I kind of dug it. I think it was cool. So the smoke monster from Lost, another TV monster that I loved and was scared by a lot. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Anyone? No.
I played the
Okay.
game, but I don't
You
remember.
played the game.
Yeah.
So season 2, episode 10 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the bad guys were these monsters called the Gentlemen, and they were like really creepy looking dudes. They were like skeletons, but they kind of still had a thin layer of skin on them.
That describes all my exes.
Ouch.
I thought they were gentlemen.
Those were the best monsters that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So we know Janam's type.
Yes, she just stole the thunder from what I was going to say.
Oh my God. That was too good. Skeleton with a thin layer of skin
on them.
Abbas, me and you are out of the running.
Yeah.
We're out of the running.
Damn.
Oh man, that just killed
Forget
it.
pop culture. I've got monsters
Let's talk about monsters
under
and
my
Janam
bed and in my past.
and demons, inner demons inside of me. Oh, you tortured
you just
soul.
won this
Why do you
round.
think I listen to metal, man?
Oh,
Crack it.
Oh,
yeah.
Now we know.
oh.
Anyway, quickly coming back to this. So, their power, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, in that episode, their thing was that they stole people's voices. And that entire episode was a silent episode. And it was actually, Joss Whedon directed that episode. And it was his response to the, he used to get a lot of praise for the dialogue in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So he's like, I'm going to do one episode entirely without dialogue. So he actually made those monsters in that episode. So they were called the Gentlemen.
So Janam, is that why you're so quiet and everything? You know, around the office generally. Is that why you
Why?
broke up with your exes? They took
What?
away your voice.
This episode has taken a weird turn.
Yeah.
they stole your voice. They didn't let you like express things.
They didn't steal anything. I wouldn't let them. Screw them, man.
Cool. Any other monsters you guys have to add?
I mean, there are some really like cute monsters also
Okay.
out there, like from Monsters Inc. I mean, those are monsters, but I mean, I love that movie. I mean, I personally like Monsters Inc. better than Monsters Inc. University.
Okay.
I mean,
I think it was just called Monsters University.
whatever, man. you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
And another one, another
Though I
cartoon
still
ones.
Monsters University, one of the best prequels of all time. Just my opinion.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Just your opinion. Another one from cartoons, I would say like the ones from Scooby-Dooby-Doo, like monsters from Scooby-Dooby-Doo days. I think those were my first kind of exposure to monsters, which
To
I
the
could...
fact that under those monsters are human beings, which are mean.
Yeah, and you know, it kind of like debunked the fact that there are monsters
yeah,
out
yeah.
there in the universe or anything.
Right,
It's
true.
there's always a rational explanation
Exactly.
for spooky things. And one thing that I got scared of watching as a kid was Courage the Cowardly Dog. I actually got like scared
got scared?
watching. I mean, as a kid, like a real kid.
You know what I used to watch as a kid and get scared of? Ahart.
Actually, some of those episodes were damn scary.
They
dude.
were.
They were. There was this one episode where you get into a bus and the bus just disappears and you don't
but
know.
this has nothing really to do with monsters. Right?
It is. It's
well,
ghosts.
I mean,
monsters.
actually, if you watch Twilight, the whole
the franchise is a monster.
No, but what the franchise is trying to sell is that
toilet paper.
that men
Janam's on fire today, man.
that actually men are monsters who crave for young flesh. So I mean that's the kind of
Remind you of someone, Janam, anyone you associate with.
No.
But is that really what it's alluding to?
Yeah. The
damn.
background of it all is.
They
like
could have done it
basically-
well.
I mean, that's what I've heard from people who've read the books. I mean, I have no clue. I've not read the books
Okay.
myself. I cannot. I will not watch anything which has a main character of a werewolf and a vampire. I'm sorry, it's like silly for me.
Wow, you're the ideal person to talk about this monsters.
I
one
know.
else knows.
Speaking of lovable monsters, I will add Shrek to the list.
Oh my
Shrek is
I
Actually,
love
yeah,
Shrek.
that's true.
Yeah.
Shrek is not a monster.
As in,
he's adorable.
neither is the monsters.
But
neither
that's-
is Sully from Monsters Inc. But
Yeah, that's the idea that
Yeah.
monsters can be
Right.
lovable too.
yeah, like
Right.
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Ooh,
Yeah, actually,
those
yeah.
are amazing.
Yeah.
Some good choices we came up with. Okay, speaking of monsters, I gotta mention Star Wars, the Rancor monster from Return of the Jedi.
Course.
Really like it. Also, he had a little gatekeeper who was crying. There's a shot of him crying when the Rancor monster dies, so that's pretty sad. That's really good. Jabba the Hutt.
Oh,
One
he's
of my
my
favorite
favorite.
monsters.
Wait, is he a monster or an alien?
He's an alien, but he's
And-
also a monster.
And there is a distinct difference because there actually was a movie called Monsters versus Aliens.
Isn't he looking like Jabba right now with that robe?
Oh my
we're
god,
talking
guys.
about Gaurav right now.
Yeah. Abbas is making it very clear, like, guys, I don't look like Jabba the Hutt. I'm much more sophisticated looking.
A little, yeah, you're a sophisticated Jabba, essentially.
No, I was talking about you, but okay, never mind.
Cool, I'll take it. Have a mafia of my own, sure. The Smaug from the Hobbit movies, the big dragon, which Benedict Cumberbatch voiced. One of my favorite monsters. Imhotep from the Mummy movies, the Big Mummy.
Oh, right.
One of the ones. And of course, then you have the monsters which have invaded pop culture. Godzilla,
Right.
various iterations of Godzilla.
Even in Game of Thrones, you have a monster.
dragons.
No, not the dragons.
the ice guys.
Yeah, the ice guys. What are they called again?
Nightwalkers.
Yes,
Nightwalkers.
White Walkers.
White Walkers.
White
Oh,
Walkers.
White Walker. The Night King, yeah. Night King and the White Walkers.
Night King and the White Walkers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Ice guys.
The monster from Alien, the alien from Alien, one of my favorites.
Aliens
and
versus
then-
Predators.
The Predator
Yeah.
monsters, but I like the aliens better than the Predators.
Okay.
And I thought it'll be fun to drop in an Indian monster in here. So there was an Indian film called Junoon, starring Rahul Roy,
What?
which was our
Wait.
take on vampire lore. But the only difference was that Rahul Roy used to, instead of turning into a werewolf, he used to turn into a tiger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that tiger was badass. So as a kid, I used to really get scared of that tiger. So I think that India-wise, I think that was one of my favorite monsters. King Kong, of course, the big gorilla. Big fan of King Kong. So yeah, pretty much I've run through my list. You guys have any other monsters to add?
No, I mean, to be honest, I don't like horror movies at all. So if I do watch monsters or something like that, it's more of maybe on the thriller side or maybe on the fantasy side, but definitely not horror. That's why I don't know as many monsters as I wish I did for this episode.
Cool. All right. So that was our take on monsters. The takeaway line from it is, of course, if you see a skeleton with a thin layer of skin,
Stay away.
It's, it's an
Probably
X
is dated.
from Janam's life. So do you think we missed any monsters? Do write into us. You can reach out to us on social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can reach out to us personally. My Twitter handle is Abbas Momin and Instagram is Abbas Momin88. Janam, where can one find you?
My Twitter handle is at Janam Devan.
And Gaurav?
Aya_G on Instagram.
Cool. So that was our show. Please do write into us, reach out to us, and we shall see you on another episode of IVM Likes. Till then, bye-bye.
Bye.
He bends down to test the warm water for his bath. He comes here to quench his thirst for a hot shower and some podcasts. You can witness how he enjoys having other people talk about cool stuff in his bathroom. Indeed, it helps him with his loneliness. You can find more of his species on ivmpodcast.com, your one-stop destination where you can check out the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.